All right, guys. Hey, welcome back to the channel. Some progress has been made with hanging my guitars. Um, I got to doing this last week, so really happy about that. Yeah, changing the bedroom up really gave me so much relief, additional room, and I'm hoping to even get rid of that shelf and replace it with something where I can put another one of my amps below, have a shelf, and then have one on top. That would be really, really nice. You know, when you want to have those intimate moments, it's not always about cranking shit up. You know, not everything has to be crazy with the effects, but just intimate moments with the guitar. Some really nice mild delays and reverbs in the evening when you're relaxing. Um, Kind of, calms the soul, kind of helps you to think about life and think about how wonderful it is to have the ability to play instruments. So yeah, that's nice. I have room to probably hang a couple more. I would have to move that picture, but this is just kind of what I did quickly. I got my little stud finder, did those two, and then this one with the Charvel, no stud there, so I used the plastic inserts on that particular wall for that one anyway. But yesterday, finally, when I got home from work, this came in. We'll talk a little bit about it. The new Firefly vintage style type of telecaster. And right off the bat, so this particular unit comes in delivered to your home for about $240. You know, I was hoping that this one would be lighter than the Firefly Strats. Now, the Firefly Strats have a pretty dense mahogany body, and they're actually very heavy. And that's one of the counter things, or one of the things that I particularly don't like is a heavy guitar. Gibsons are infamous for that, but I have a couple guitars here that are on the heavy, like close to 9 pounds. And I was hoping that this one would be lighter, and it is. So when it first came in, and I'm saving you from all of that unboxing nonsense. This is not a real guitar review channel. I'm just giving you my input of why I chose this one, because not every guitar on Guitar Garden speaks to me. And with some of the things that I have learned since buying from them, I'm particular not to waste their time and buy something just to try it out and return it. That's not my gig. You know, I want to be able to buy something that I think I'm going to enjoy and keep it. And if it doesn't work out, then I feel bad that I even have to return it, because they're pretty inexpensive guitars, but the hassle of having to say, unless there's a major freaking defect, then yeah. But for most of my Firefly guitars, I've had very little issues at all. But and I'm very forgiving as a guitar player at 62 years old. I'm very forgiving. I can't be one of these guys who's gonna fucking nitpick some guitars. Even if you find a little bit of a flaw. Manufacturing wise, this thing is absolutely fantastic. Um, I don't really care for those type of saddles, but so far, the intonation I would say is fair, and I think each guitar manufacturer will vary. Like anything else, it will all vary. There's paint shielding underneath the electronics cavity with their Firefly Bumblebee capacitor. The grounding wire was kind of twisted up in the selector switch, so when I took that off, I freed that up. That wasn't very bright. Nice to see that the plastic was still on the pick guard. Um, Now, since I've had this guitar since yesterday, uh, I already changed the strings. It does come with the fake D'Addario counterfeit strings. Those gotta go because the fake D'Addario strings are pretty hideous, and it really takes away from the true tonality of trying to listen to how these particular pickups are. Now we see branding on a lot of the Firefly guitars, but I don't necessarily believe that the branding is, to me, could be just counterfeit. If they're going to go to the extent of branding, Floyd Rose type, tremolos, I would think this is the same. Um, they're not stupid. They're going to cut corners wherever they can. The inlays are a little bit on the dumb side. They look nice, but they weren't really centered well. And they seem to be more like a sticker. Like if you could see here, you can see they don't really, maybe the tooling, like, because I believe that the inlays are of the right diameter, but I think that maybe the CNC machine that made it to put them in there was a little off. You can see there. So you see the scene. Is that a deal breaker for me? No. Could I return it and be a little bitch about it? Yeah, but I'm not going to, because that doesn't really matter to me. For $240 delivered to your front door, this guitar is exceptional. First, the neck is absolutely fantastic. The playability of this guitar is phenomenal. Not in the sense like, it's a miracle. It's just really, really nice. The neck profile is nice. This particular roasted flame maple neck has a lot of different type of figuring. It's got a little tiger striping going on there. It's not super flamed, but considering the type of wood that it is, it's nice. It's actually nice and smooth. It feels more like a satiny. It's not raw, and it feels really nice in the hands. I really like the white dot inlays on the top of the neck rather than them being black. That's a really nice addition. It does have supposedly a bone nut. So I did hydrate the neck. I did take off the fake D'Addario strings and put on, these are some Fender bullets. It is a string through body, and the bullets fit in there pretty nice. A little recessed into cavity, which is nice, because sometimes in the back of some cheaper guitars you couldn't use a bullet. They would be sticking out. Because they used an inferior type of bushing in there. I know I'm not saying the word correctly, but of course, everything's made in China, China, China. It's got a nice little heel here. It's not crazy big, and it kind of gets in your way. It's a really nice guitar. And I chose this one because it doesn't have a goofy color. It's not orange, it's not red, it's not blue. I'm not really into that. I like more of a natural. This one kind of jumped out to me. I was like, yeah, I don't need the guitar, but I would like to try it. And this arm cut here that they did is really, really nice, guys. If you look at a lot of the other cheap import guitars, they don't really have necessarily this particular cut. And some of them are even charging more for their instrument. These do have 500K pots. I found that to be a little interesting. Now, what I've done is I was thinking about this bridge because it's got the ashtray type bridge. I was thinking that one of the things I might try later is to swap out the bridge, if possible. If it's possible with this guitar, to put something in there that's going to maybe allow me to intonate the guitar better. Is it worth the hassle, though? That's the struggle I have. Now, I did buy a new bridge pickup just to try out from Temu. It's a stacked sort of humbucker type. Now, I was going to put some other saddles in here, but I realized that this guitar isn't designed for that. These holes are actually designed to be used only in a top mounted configuration. So if you're thinking of putting saddles on this, forget it. It's not going to work. This is where your strings would go for top mounting. So this whole bridge plate is not designed to have individual saddles. That's where you would get into getting a different bridge plate. And it would probably, you might have to drill new holes, because the way that it has to work is the string has to come through there, right, with the saddles somewhere else. So so I would think that the other ones are going to have holes up higher to do your individual saddles. Like these three here are compensating for two strings. So that's how that one worked. But I got one without the without this. Not that it's a big deal. Like, I'm just, what else can I do to occupy my time at the age of 62? I'm a senior, so god damn it, I gotta find shit to do. It does come with locking tuners. Tuners work great. For the price point, man, at $240 delivered to your door, this is a badass guitar. It feels light. The thing that I'm really gonna advocate for this Firefly is the playability. And they haven't really changed the price much with this guitar, but it's gone through, some very good updates. I'll give you an example. Here's Philip McKnight talking about, if you remember this one, same price, $199, and it didn't have the arm cut. It had a very different type of bridge, and so Firefly, this was 11, so almost a year ago. And you can see that they've been really trying to update their product. And if you go to Guitar Gardens, you'll see, like, yeah, they've really done a good job. This particular one isn't really flashy, but it really does. What can I say about the pickups? They're good, but they're not great. They're sort of mid-rangey, but they have decent clarity, and you can tell between all three settings, bridge, middle, and neck, that they sound pretty decent. But there's definitely room for having it to be brighter. They're bright enough, but they're not like crazy chimey. The bridge kind of lacks a little bit of it's kind of shallow. It doesn't have a lot of richness in the bass end, so I want to say it's very neutral, but they're very balanced for what they are, and like a lot of pickups, like the ones that I put over here in the Tease guitar. Some guys were mentioning, well, try Music-a-Lily and this that. You have to remember that Music-a-Lily, Wilkinson, a lot of the pickups that are sold, even on Amazon, they're all still made in Shenzhen. You're just basically buying the same pickup that's, has a different, it falls under a different name. A lot of the big manufacturers do that. So we're just talking about the same pickup, possibly, under different branding. And that's kind of how the world works, different branding, same shit, but you just never know. Let me pull out one of the other pickups that I got, and you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. So now, these particular pickups coming from Temu, like most of their stuff, it's from Shenzhen, and you'll notice the sticker here. If you notice, a lot of the stuff, even you're buying from Amazon, has a very familiar sticker. But they're definitely waxed. They're nice, five wire, and just because it says Music-a-Lily or whatever on there, they're all coming from Shenzhen. No, and I'm not kidding when I say that. So But sometimes they're not. Like sometimes when I bought those orange pickups, they were for shit. They were dog shit. But these particular ones were really nice. And a couple of Telecaster pickups I bought from Temu were very identical to the Musical or whatever manufacturers are listed on Amazon, and they sounded fantastic. So it's just a hit and miss. You know, sometimes you're buying a pickup from Temu or Amazon, and the manufacturer of that particular pickup, you know, they're just not up to the game. You're basically, you bought it for the price, but they sounded like dog shit. So you know, you can send that stuff back. But let's take a listen to this. I'm going to be playing through the Yamaha, and with some decent reverb. We're not going to get too crazy with that because, like I've always said, you can make any shitty guitar sound good through the right effects, but it doesn't mean it's a good guitar. So hold on, guys. Okay, welcome back to the studio. So yeah, I'm really fond. I just really like this color from Firefly. It's not flashy. It's just very vintagey. But this armrest right here adds so much comfort and playability to the instrument. All I could hope for was that playing on the neck was going to be a good experience, and it really is. So the intonation is fair. I think with these types of bridges, you can only hope that your intonation is not really whacked out. I mean, so it's kind of like a hit and miss with those. Individual saddles are preferred, but you know, for the enthusiast, this is kind of like, you know, these are not always the easiest to intonate your Telecaster with, by far. Very problematic, and sometimes when you're playing bar chords and chords, shit's a little off. Noting your guitar with finger single notes, that's you're never gonna hear that. But when you're playing like an E chord, you'll notice right away that it's off. That is really, really good, considering that bridge and saddle. And it's holding a really good tune, so not bad. All right, here's a little bit of the middle. A little bit of that scooped tele belly tone. So these are the fender bullets on this particular Firefly. And again, what I could say honestly about this Firefly is the playability of the neck is dead on badass. It's just really comfortable. You can sit here and play this guitar all day long, and the fret ends, stainless steel frets. But keep in mind, when the guitar comes in, you've got to get rid of those strings, and you got to spend time. I just use a rubber eraser and just will spend 10-15 minutes, you know, trying to smooth out the stainless steel frets, and that's all it really takes. You know, you just got to get rid of the counterfeit D'Addario strings, because that alloy on those strings, it's a tone killer. They just, you know, yeah, you can play the guitar with it, but they have zero, you know, vitality. The strings just suck. There was a bit of a back bow on the neck also, so those are, I think, the three critical points when you're buying the Firefly. When it comes in, definitely gotta polish the frets again, hydrate the neck, put on a fresh set of strings, stretch them out, and check the neck relief. You know, make sure it doesn't have a back bow or too much relief. It's very simple with the tool provided, and that's all you really need. But this particular Tele with these extra cuts, like the belly cut you get on a lot of Teles, that's not too big of a deal. But the arm cut is really nice. This is a really comfortable feature. I really like that. But this off-white color really just, I don't know, it's just really, I'm really happy about this guitar. And, you know, just being able to look down on the neck at this angle and see my fret markers really easy. Action's good for me. It's got good quack. I mean, this is $240. There's not a guitar that can touch this. I mean, Fender. It's just like I'm shocked that we by Fender Squires can't come close to this quality, and they're charging you more and more. I mean, Fender is totally ripping this off, and I realized that the first time I bought my first Firefly. It was a Telecaster. It had a flamed maple top, and the stainless steel frets, and the you know, I had recently purchased a $900 70th anniversary Fender, and after playing the Firefly, it just was a no-brainer. That Fender went right back, and the price difference between 900 to I think that particular Firefly was about $250 delivered. Yeah, I mean, with all the things that I saw about the Firefly, I said, like, I just can't believe Fender is ripping me off that bad. And so here we go again. Nice Telecaster. It's got some really nice appointments. Maybe not the greatest hardware in the world, but these guys are really trying to earn your money and your business. I mean, this particular cut on a Telecaster is really, really nice. You know, because if you played one before, like I have, with that sharp edge corner, you know, with that sharp edge, it's a fucking deal breaker. I'll never play one like that. Basically, very rude. Okay, let's get to the bridge. So on the bridge pickup, there's not a lot of top end, kind of shallow. But very nice and chimey on the bottom. You know, there's gonna be some guys that buy this guitar and start changing out the pickups. We'll get something hotter to get that more of that crunch in there, because on the distortion side, these pickups are very mild. They're not hot at all, barely in that distortional tonal range. You know, they're just not very saturating sort of sounding, even when you add the distortion, the type of distortion you're using. My distortion pedal never changes, but the response based on the pickup does. With some humbuckers, they sound great. With some low out humbuckers, again, it just all depends on the pickup. So with this particular one, the output is very mild. Let's give an example of that. So what you get with that type of output is it's a little bit more centered. The sound isn't kind of blasted, just isn't, you know, falling all over the edges. It's more focused, it's more tight, because the output's lower. So under the umbrella of distortion, it's more focused because the output is lower. If the output on that single coil Tele pickup was hotter, it would definitely be brighter and more punchier. But it's nice, middle position. more of that, retaining that scooped sound in the middle. Whoa. Back to the neck. Well, there you go, guys. We're 30 plus minutes into this video, and I just wanted to share with you that if you're in the market, man, for a Tele that is under 240 bucks, man, you cannot get a better guitar. Keep in mind, you will have to do a little bit of a setup, but for the money and for the quality, I think you're getting, it's a no-brainer. It's light, it's not super heavy, it's not super light, it's well balanced. This is a very comfortable guitar. I have no affiliation with Firefly, it's just that this is number 6. They just make a good guitar for the money. I think a lot of the other branded guitars are trying to compete with what these guys are doing and whoever their contacts are in China, but they're putting together some really good stuff. There's some innovations to their new styles with the armrest cut. That's really, really nice. And there's always room for upgrades. That's always going to be an endless thing, whether you do it or not. So I like the simplicity of this guitar. Simple, but very enjoyable neck. The 22 frets, the action, the feeling is just wonderful. Definitely a very thin C shaped, but it's got a very nice feeling on the back of the neck. It's very enjoyable. That's all I can say about these guitars. I definitely will not be returning this one, regardless of any sort of manufacturing sort of offness with like the dot inlays. I don't really care about that. I think there's a little bit of maybe the camera can't. There's a little indentation right over here. But again, is it a deal breaker for me? No. Because I'm looking at the overall playability. Can I sit down with this guitar after I've done those minor adjustments and enjoy this guitar? Yes, and for hours. If I can, if I have the durability, yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice, guys. So anyway, thanks for stopping into my channel. Thanks for all of you who continue to visit this channel. I'm just, a senior giving you my honest opinion about a particular product that I have purchased. And my channel is really not about reviews, but it's just giving you my honest opinion. If you happen to be in the market or you're, pickup shopping, just, keep in mind that all this crap's coming from, and from what I've seen, manufacturing in Shenzhen. There's probably 200, 500, I don't know how many factories out there, but they're basically just, relabeling, rebranding the same crap that, I don't don't think there's much to that understanding. But whether or not they sound good to you is all that really matters. Do they sound good? Like those ones from Temu, those humbuckers, they sound really, really nice. In fact, I've been really enjoying the sound of the humbuckers in the Temu. It made the guitar more enjoyable, and it just kind of makes more sense. And so I really like those humbuckers, and these are the same ones. They're just in this particular fashion. So I already know that these humbuckers are going to sound good. Where will I actually put them? I don't know yet. I've been sitting on them for 5 months. But if I have another guitar project, I would definitely use these. Where? I'm not sure, but you know, I could even replace those with the ones in the T's guitar. But then, you know, it's just not necessary. I'm completely content with the humbuckers in the T's guitar, and completely content with this unit. You'll see a lot of reviews on YouTube in regards to the same kind of bullshit, but a lot of times they're like, you know, the reviews that you see on YouTube vary between being insightful and then people that are just doing it for subscribers, people who just can't play very well. Their setup is pretty shitty, and they're right away like they don't really spend a lot of time allowing you to listen to the real tone of the pickups, but right away want to get into the distortion of things, and it just kind of really takes away from a proper review of what is necessary to understand what this particular brand is all about. You know, so that's my review, I guess. But thanks for hanging out. So sorry for the long review. You know, it takes time to kind of cover all of the little nuances of a particular brand, but I will honestly say, man, I'm really happy that this body is not super heavy. It's really well balanced, and the arm cut is wonderful to sit here on a Telecaster with this cut. The Nashville didn't have anything like this, and also the intonation with that bridge. I'm really happy that it sounds really good. I would have not known, because I've had some tellies before with this kind of nonsense, and they frustrated me because I could not get the intonation even close. But I'm satisfied, man. All right, guys. Well, have a blessed week. Today's my day off, and I'm just going to be playing guitar and enjoying my time, and I hope you do also. So have a blessed week. Take care.